Hello everyone, this is Troy Eckard. I'm the CEO of Eckard Enterprises here in Dallas, Texas. I'm giving you a market update today, October the 15th, 2021. Many of you who follow the hydrocarbon or the oil and gas industry are trying to get your head around exactly where we're going with regard to commodity prices. What's always amazing to me is that a year ago, all the analysts were gone, disappeared, or it was doomsday. And in fact, as the oil and gas market across the globe has rebounded, demand has come back, supply is obviously going to be in a lesser quantity than everyone expected. It's always amazed me that they come along with these surprise predictions and calculations as to where we are. It's been clear to me for over 2 years. We've had no problem with demand and never will have a problem with demand in the petroleum space. It's always been the supply side. The supply side has been derailed. You know, there's reports out this morning talking about the fact that Cushing, Oklahoma saw one of the largest drawdowns in supply out of that storage facility in the last 2 years. We're talking about oil prices trading over $82 a barrel West Texas Intermediate pricing today. We're talking natural gas trading at $5.45 to $5.50 here based on Henry Hub pricing. So what is it about today? What is going on today that we should be aware of? And I'll give you two things to think about. By my calculations, we had about 1.2 billion barrels that was produced last year from March through June in oversupplied crude oil relative to demand. What does that mean? Every bathtub, swimming pool, and storage tank across the globe was filled with oil that was being produced around the globe that did not have demand at refineries, gas stations, or by the consumer because of COVID lockdown. That excess supply sat there and began to get utilized over the last 14 to 16 months as a result of, we've got it, it's in storage, it's in tankers, let's use that as the economies around the world came back to life. Well, we essentially, by my calculations, we've already consumed that excess 1.2 billion barrels a day, which means it's not there any longer, obviously. And now we're starting to see demand pulls based on global demand. West Texas Intermediate pricing, which today is over $82 a barrel, also represent a light sweet crude oil. It's a lot easier and less expensive to process than maybe a heavier crude oil, where you have to blend it. So we start seeing customers like Europe asking the United States to export more barrels of oil out of the U.S. toward Europe because they're willing to pay a premium for it, but it'll be less in final cost than the heavier crude oil they have to buy from other producers around the world. So what makes sense to you and me? We're at 20 to 21 million barrels a day in consumption here in the U.S. We're making 11.4 million barrels a day. We are exporting our own crude oil out of the U.S. to customers like Europe because they're going to pay more for it than we get paid here in our own country. We have Cushing, Oklahoma has the largest drawdown in almost going on 4 years in their supply. Global supply, which was in a massive oversupply a year ago, is now pretty much par or flush with daily demand. What you have, ladies and gentlemen, is you have exactly what I've been saying for almost 2 years. You have a supply side that is derailed, you have increasing demand, and now what you're seeing is everyone is scrambling to figure out where they're going to get those barrels from. Now, if you also look at the strategic reserves in the United States, this administration, in their infinite wisdom, decided they were going to actually start pulling oil and gas out of our strategic reserves to try to soften the rising prices of oil and gas and gasoline prices here in this country. I don't want to use the word idiots, but if the name fits, let it be what it is. The truth is, when you draw down on those strategic reserves, when you pull down on those excess storage barrels in Cushing, Oklahoma, you've got to refill them. Otherwise, you have a shortfall. So if we're taking our safety net, our strategic reserves, and we're pulling out of that to pretend to soften the current market, what you've really done is you've weakened our strategic reserves, you've artificially inflated supply side in an increasing demand market. You're just simply kicking the can down the road. So when we get to about 6 to 12 months down the road and there's no more reserves in the strategic reserves we can pull out, and there's not really anything you can do on the supply side except try to drill your way out of the shortfall, you've got to see only one thing result, and that is skyrocketing oil prices. So again, today, October the 15th, Troy W. Eckard is going to tell you the following. We're in a problem. We've got a problem. NASA, we have a problem. The problem is not for you and I, the oil and gas producers, not the mineral owners like myself and my partners. It's for the consumers and the American consumers and public who are going to pay enormously high oil and gas prices as a result of failed policy. Today's numbers clearly tell me we're headed to brand new record highs for oil and gas. I personally believe in the next 24 months we will see oil over $150 a barrel, and natural gas can trade between $7 and $10 an MCF in the next 12 months. Have a great time. Thank you for listening in. Troy Eckard signing off.